Coming up next, in a brief interview, we ask Shawn to explain his guitar and stage setup and talk about his musical influences.
Some of my influences were maybe Frank Marino then, and that's when I got into Hendrix and some other people. But really what turned me around on guitar and music were two different things. I saw Alan Holdsworth play live in concert in 1978, and I was about 14. And I didn't know who he was. I just showed up at the concert. It was with the band UK. I didn't even know who they were. I just went to the concert because it was some bargain concert, I think. And it just really changed my whole life about guitar and really made me see guitar in a whole other way. And you know, I thought I wanted to go in a direction like that after I'd seen him. And also the keyboard player that I ran into a couple years later that played in Black Oak, Arkansas, a band with me about 12, 13 years ago. He was a classical pianist, and he had learned from the time he was a kid to play a lot of classical pieces, a lot of Liszt and Brahms and Rachmaninoff. And up until then, classical music, I just didn't think much about it. It had always been, when I was a kid, it was just something that was pretty or something that was just kind of in a museum somewhere or something. But when I saw this guy really play this stuff live, it really had a big effect on me. And so I really saw the vibrancy and the aliveness of it and how it could still relate to any time. It's a timeless kind of music, so that really had a big effect. Copied some records, but I'm just a tremendous music fan. If I never even played an instrument, I'd still have all the records I have. And I'm really, first and foremost, I consider myself a music fan more than really even a player. I have about 6,000 albums of all styles of music, classical, jazz, everything. And I just love so many of the great people, and that inspires me so much that my own music is almost secondary to that in a way, you know. Yeah, this is a guitar that Ibanez built for me, and it has some of the neck is modeled after the guitar that I played the longest, which was a Roland guitar. It was the guitar that came with the original synthesizer, the GR300. I got it in about '79, and I played that guitar for about 13 years or something. And so when I had Ibanez build me this guitar, I had to model the neck after that guitar, because Ibanez was actually the original manufacturer of the Roland guitars too. It was under the Roland name, but Ibanez made it. And I always liked curly maple, and because I played that guitar so much, I'm really attracted to arch top guitars. I really don't, I'm not real comfortable with a flat top on a guitar, so arch top is where it's at for me.
Any special electronics in it?
No, I tend to like just DiMarzio PAFs. These are, I think this is a PAF with a kind of a low magnetic pull, some new thing that they've kind of come out with. But my theory is toward weak pickups. I don't really like the real loud and hot pickups because I just hear too much of the electronics and too much of the fuzzy kind of sound. I think if the pickup is real weak and then you get the volume you need out of the amp, then you're hearing more of the wood and the string. It's just an overall better tone. Strings, well, I use Diodario strings, and I like all different gauges. Use 9s right now, but you know, sometimes I like to tune to E flat or even down to D. I might use a heavier set, but I'm really happy with the consistency of those strings, and work good.
And guitar picks just straight ahead?
Well, guitar picks, I use these Jim Dunlop Jazz 3 picks. I like kind of a small pick that I can fit in kind of the first joint of my finger, and I like the point. I can't use Jazz 2 or Jazz 1. I have to have like the point that's on the Jazz 3. They changed the formula a little bit on these, and I kind of like the older ones better, but I use the new ones right now. Live, I try to play in quadraphonic. I use usually 4 amplifiers. I have one set of effects, usually a delay or a chorus or compressor maybe sometimes, that go through all the amplifiers. Then each amplifier, there's one amplifier that's in real time, and then each amplifier after that is delayed a few milliseconds from the previous one. So if you have 4 amplifiers, you might have one in real time, then you might have one delayed 10 milliseconds. The whole signal is delayed. Then the next one might be 12 or 13, the next one might be 18 milliseconds. And that evolved out of playing in a lot of top 40 and bar bands and stuff, and so many of the rooms I played just had atrocious acoustics. So instead of depending on it ever sounding good like that, I just decided to create my own acoustic environment through using the delays and different amplifiers. And Also, I use these Holmes amplifiers I've had for almost 20 years. It was the first amplifier I ever bought, and I'm still using it. I bought it 20 years ago. And then I've got this tube-powered overdrive, the Westbury, that's been discontinued for a long time. I got it probably 8 or 9 years ago. And the Holmes aren't that great in and of themselves, and the Westbury isn't that great in and of itself, but the two together really make something that's it's a real smooth sound. It's hard to find in a lot of the newer amps today. I find a lot of them sound kind of cold.